Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, July 30th Board of Control meeting. It is now 11:03 a.m. Nan Baker. Dale Miller. Trevor McAleer serving as an alternate for Dan Brady. Mike Dever. Armin Budish.
Here.
Dennis Kennedy. Lenora Lockett. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes from July 23. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, one tabled item.
Yes. Item number BC 2018-467, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with the Sidwell Company for maintenance on the Geographical Information System, and it's for the period December 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $45,000.
Morning, Board. Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. As you may recall, when the time this was tabled, this is driven off of an RFP that was done in 2017. This is the first amendment. It is going to the end of this year for $45,000. This is the software that helps the appraisers and all the administrative staff. The question at time of being tabled was a fiscal matter of using the index code, and that has been confirmed for the RIA fund.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, it's new items for review. Item BC 2018-489, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 42551 to Donnell Ford in the amount not to exceed $129,355, and it's for the purchase of two 2019 F-450 crew trucks.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. We're just recommending award to Donnell Ford purchase of two F-450 trucks. This was a formal bid, worked with OPD, went to 13 vendors. There's two award submissions, the low bidders being selected. They are low by about 14%, and this is to replace two older trucks that'll be passed down.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item. Item BC 2018-490, Department of Public Works. A, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a payment to Downtown Cleveland Alliance in the amount not to exceed, it should reflect not to exceed $18,000 for event coordination, staging, and supplies for the Cuyahoga County Detroit Superior Bridge Tour being held on August 18th, 2018, and B, recommending the payment in connection with said RFP exemption.
Mike Chambers of Public Works. This is a very popular event that's really grown over the last couple of years. This happens to be our 100th anniversary of the bridge, so we're asking and partnering up with Downtown Cleveland Alliance and Sparks to provide trolley services, get a plaque for the bridge, a little bit of music, staging, and such. So this is a not to exceed amount, and it's road and bridge funds.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller.
Do we anticipate spending the same amount every year, or is this bigger and grander because it's a 100th anniversary?
This is a 100th anniversary of the plaque, and yes, I mean, for years we've kind of done as minimal as we can, but last year we had 12,000 people, so we're going to have to spend a little bit. It was a great educational, great opportunity for the residents of Cuyahoga County, so this is a one-time spike.
Okay.
Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, item BC 2018-491, Department of Development, recommending awards on requisition 41528 to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $315,000 for foreclosure prevention and real property tax counseling services for Cuyahoga County homeowners for the period January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, For A, CHN Housing Partners in the amount not to exceed $60,000. B, Community Housing Solutions in the amount not to exceed $90,000. C, Empowering and Strengthening Ohio's People in the amount not to exceed $80,000. D, Home Repair Resource Center in the amount not to exceed $25,000. And E, Neighborhood Housing Services of Greater Cleveland, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $60,000.
Good morning, Sarah Parks Jackson with the Department of Development. We are requesting approval of these grant awards to the 5 nonprofits listed. Unfortunately, in the past couple of years, we've had delays from the federal government in our receipt of our allocation, which then delays our being able to process our RFPs. Our nonprofits, once we tell them that they're going to be recommended, tend to continue to do the work. And then when our money comes in, they will reverse whatever money they spent that they had in their general fund once our contract gets approved. And they've been doing that for a while. So that way, anybody who's facing foreclosure, either tax or otherwise, continues to be able to get supported from those nonprofit organizations. In addition, because we got the federal allocation for 2018 actually early enough, we have already begun the 2019 process. So when these contracts expire, we will have either brought to you by then the 2019 recommendations or very shortly.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Councilwoman Baker.
Thank you. It sounds like we borrow from one pot and then get reimbursed and replenish that money and then use the money that we were intended to use for this purpose. Is there any programs that are not being delivered because we're using resources for something that was intended for something else?
Actually, it's not us that's borrowing, it's actually our nonprofits, because we, in accordance with the HUD regulations, until we get that letter that says that our allocation is approved, and that's normally about 2 months after an appropriation has been approved with the federal government, we can't allocate any funds. There's a series of steps that we have to go through. We can begin our RFP process once we know, but we can't allocate any funds to the activity.
I guess my question is, and maybe you can't answer it because it's not under your, but the money that they are using while they're waiting for us to get notice that we've received our funds to give back to them, do you know if they're using funds that are not for the purpose that they're using it for, but they're using it temporarily until they get their funding? Are they compromising other services that that they may be using that money for, but instead convert it to this until we give them authority that they can be replenished?
Councilwoman, I do not know the answer. I can check with the nonprofits and ask them, are they having an adverse effect on other programs while they're waiting for us, but I don't have the answer.
Only because it's 7 months. We only have 5 months left. So whatever money they're shell game using, I wonder if that's compromising for them. Thank you.
Further questions?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
Approximately how many people can we serve with the money for these 5 organizations?
We anticipate serving about 2,000 to 3,000 people. Not all. A lot of people come in and find out, especially with the tax foreclosures, that maybe they aren't eligible for a payment plan, but this is counseling. So they get to see a number of people and try to help them work through their issues.
2,000 people?
Yes.
Quite a bit. Okay.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
The next part is a two-part item, item number BC 2018-492, Department of Development. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43028, which will result in an award recommendation to the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $30,000 for fair housing services for Cuyahoga County homeowners, and it's for the period June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019. And B, recommending the award and contract in connection with said RFP exemption.
Sarah Parks Jackson, Department of Development. This request to provide funding to the Legal Aid Society actually came from Cleveland Tenants Organization ceasing to do operations. Cleveland Tenants would normally participate in our RFP program. We reached out to Legal Aid to determine if they were in fact picking up some of the responsibilities that Cleveland Tenants had previously done. They indicated yes, we worked with them so that we could create a contract so all the services that CTO provided would not be lost.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilwoman Baker.
Is there an overlap between the one we just approved and this one? Given we're giving advice on those in foreclosure or perhaps moving towards foreclosure, and this one that is giving legal advice for perhaps the same purpose? Do you see any overlap there?
Councilwoman, no overlap in that our fair housing contracts, first of all, we are required by HUD by virtue of receipt of the money to affirmatively further fair housing. So all the fair housing contracts have that mission in mind, which is different than the foreclosure prevention.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-493, Department of Development. A, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a payment to Engage Cleveland in the amount of $1,000 for sponsorship of the Cleveland Young Professionals Week event. And it's for the period June 23rd, 2018 through June 30th, 2018. And B, recommending the payment in connection with said RFP exemption.
Sarah Parks Jackson, Department of Development. We're requesting to provide $1,000 sponsorship to Engage Cleveland. It originally was for their Cleveland Young Professionals Week. However, oftentimes when we get these requests for sponsorships, the time it takes from when they sent it to us and their event to get through our procurement process, our office and the Office of Procurement, the event might be occurring right then or past. In addition, Engage Cleveland also requests sponsorships for other activities that they have, so that the sponsorship for this event, that $1,000 can also go to other events that they have for the young professionals in the greater Cleveland area.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
BC 2018-494, Department of Information Technology, recommending an award on requisition 41728 and enter into a contract with Indicat Microfilm, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $499,865.84 for county-wide maintenance on Kodak scanners. And it's for the period July 30th, 2018 through July 29th, 2020.
Good morning again, board members. This is a 2-year contract that is driven off of an RFP award, and it is for scanners that are countywide, prevalent to fiscal, border revisions, clerk of court, common pleas, prosecutors, and HHS.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-495, Department of Information Technology. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43062, which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct, Incorporated, in the amount not to exceed $35,850. And it's for the purchase of 75 iGel America UD3 W10 4GB RAM and 32GB SSD virtual desktop infrastructure thin client computers. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning again, Dennis Sullivan. The exemption is state term pricing. These are being used exclusively for HHS and a training facility they have, which is referred to as West Shore. It's West 93rd in Lorraine. And the reason, I don't know if you want to know this or not, thin client is so that the license doesn't have to sit as a site license on the unit itself. You may know some applications where you get timed out if you don't do an activity. It's in that vein. The license doesn't go to the actual unit. The license is a concurrent use.
Thank you. Questions? Councilwoman Baker.
For clarity, it says configuration for multiple agencies at the West Shore Training Facility. So you're saying that all of that is related to the Health and Human Services?
Mm-hmm.
All that training? And what, give an example of what kind of training that would be directly HHS? Would that be
That I cannot
Job and
answer.
Family Services, or, I mean,
I can answer their programs.
Like, for instance, Job and Family Services, they operate on a different system. Sorry.
You're going to have to introduce yourself.
Dan Boss on behalf of Health and Human Services. They do training for Job and Family Services where they do eligibility, and they also do training for child welfare. So they train on SACWIS, et cetera, different systems. So they're able to toggle back and forth between systems depending on the training class.
all right, good, thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-496, Fiscal Department, recommending an award on requisition 43118 and enter into an agreement with Cuyahoga Community College in the amount not to exceed $9,480 for rental of meeting space and related services for fiscal year 2018 sexennial appraisal informal taxpayer conferences. And it's for the period August 3rd, 2018 through August 22nd, 2018.
Good morning, Lisa Rocco, Cuyahoga County Fiscal Office. We are partnering with Cuyahoga Community College to host the informal taxpayer conferences. They will begin August 6th and they will go through August 22nd. And Tri-C has held these conferences at least for the last two appraisals.
Thank you. Questions? Councilman Miller?
Just a comment, it's a valuable service to have a quick resolution to some of the inquiries.
Yes, we agree with that.
I think it's well worth the time and expense.
Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-497, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, recommending an award on requisition 41732 and enter into a contract with Alitech, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $4,990 for a cloud-based online scheduling system and support and maintenance services. And it's for the period July 31st, 2018 through July 30th, 2020.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety, and this software is going to be used by CCOMS for scheduling the dispatchers and the emergency call takers. We are currently doing that process manually, and we're spending anywhere up from to 38, 39 hours a month. So this will help speed up that process and give us real-time information. Plus, we're hoping that it'll also allow us to minimize our overtime.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-498, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, Witness Victim. Requesting authority to apply for and accept grant funds in the amount of $221,818 from State of Ohio Office of the Attorney General for the Victims of Crime Act Felony Coordinator Program. And it's in connection with the fiscal year 2019 Crime Victims Assistance Program grant. And it's for the period October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2019.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn again. These advocates work directly with the victims to assure that their needs and their voices are heard within the criminal justice system, from the police investigation to post-conviction. This grant actually pays for 3 3/4 of our staff positions. It's 3 full-time advocates and then all but part of the hospitalization for a 4th. And it's an ongoing grant. We've had it since prior to 2005.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2018-499, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Family and Children First Council, recommending an award on requisition 43080 and enter into an agreement with East Cleveland School District. And it's in the amount not to exceed $110,950 for school-based, community-based, Closing the Achievement Gap program services. And it's for the period July 31st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018.
Good morning, Robin Martin, Family and Children First Council. This contract is for the CTAG program, which serves youth who are at risk of not graduating from high school. It provides them with tutoring, credit retention, so that they can get back on track with their academics, exposure trips, and college tours.
Thank you. Questions? Councilwoman Baker?
Just curious why this is only for 5 months. The school year ends in May, June. And there's testing sometimes in the first of the year, January, February. That would be my first question.
Actually, the contract was supposed to start earlier in 2018, but we had some issues with the school. We did not find out that East Cleveland was being added to our CTAG program until mid-January, and we had to go through the process of negotiating with them and bringing them on board with the process. So there's actually a plan to do an amendment for them later in this year for next year. So it's actually 18 months worth of service, but this one is only the first year. They are going to use all the funds because the startup cost, they're the startup cost regardless of when they start.
So the next time this comes to us, it'll be for a longer period of time, but it'll be for the same amount of money?
And it'll be an amendment, yes.
And what are the grade levels? Is it just senior? Or?
No. So they're looking at students that are in the 9th and 10th grade and who have been in the 9th or 10th grade longer than a year or two. So they're kids who have been failing.
Okay. It just seems that just because the calendar ends at the end of December, I'm sure there are going to be services needed for those students that have been receiving services that are now going to be on their own for the next 4 or 5 months in a very critical time of their...
They haven't been on their own. So actually the kids in East Cleveland, they were already receiving the service, but it was a much smaller group. This funding actually allows them to expand so that they can serve more kids in their school district. Because we have a summer program that's attached to this, that's connected to another contract, the school district has actually already recruited the kids that will receive these funds, and they have been providing them with services all summer.
Okay. Just one more follow-up. So this is a 12-month amount that we're going to be spending in 5 months.
But remember, I said startup is startup regardless, so they'll still have to get a significant amount of tutoring in, the credit retention, they get uniforms. There's a whole setup piece that goes with this that would still have to happen, and that takes up the bulk of the money.
It does. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-500, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43126, which will result in an award recommendation to Blue Chip Broadcasting Ltd., doing business as Radio 1, WZAK 93.1 FM, and WJMO 1490 AM, in the amount not to exceed $995 for marketing and advertisement services in connection with the annual Senior Movie Day event for the period July 30th, 2018 through August 9th, 2018, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RP exemption.
Good morning, Dan Basta, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Department of Senior and Adult Services. This is an item that we received on the 11th of July. The Department of Senior and Adult Services Procurement Department hustled to get it through. It was under $1,000, and the reason why they went with WZAK, they were able to give us 20 free spots, so that was likely going to be the best offer that we received. In addition to that, we are looking to try to have this done by today because Senior Movie Day is going to be August 10th.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I move to Mr. Kennedy.
The Spy Who Loved Me. 1977.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
Next item is a two-part item, item BC 2018-501, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 43196, which will result in an award recommendation to IdeaStream, doing business as WCPN 90.3 and WCLV 104.9, in the amount not to exceed $990, and it's for marketing and advertisement services in connection with the annual Senior Movie Day event, and it's for the period August 2nd, 2018 through August 7th, 2018. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Dan Basta, Health and Human Services, on behalf of Department of Senior and Adult Services. This is more radio spots. We received this request on the 16th. Again, we tried to hustle through because Senior Movie Day is going to be on the 10th. This, however, more provides towards the demographic that we're looking towards, which is the senior community. 90.3 and 104.9, their demographics are more towards the senior community.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. McAleer, you want to know what the movie is?
I hope it's the same movie.
Yeah, it's the same.
All right, is the radio itself doing the reading of the movie event, or is there a voiceover, or what type of?
I believe the radio advertisers are going to be doing the spots on.
I'm just not sure if there's a benefit to maybe having someone do it next year just to try to get more attendance, but that's something we can talk about.
I'll definitely put that in advisement to the staff.
Further questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you. Exemptions?
Item number BC 2018-502, Sheriff's Department, recommending to amend board approval number BC 2018-121, dated February 20th, 2018, which authorized an alternate procurement process to release an RFP limiting competition to accredited local universities and colleges in northeastern Ohio. And it's for a study of the Prison Rape Elimination Act program in connection with the fiscal year 2015 Prison Rape Elimination Act grant by changing the amount not to exceed from $30,000 to $43,389.12.
Laura Sims with the Sheriff's Office. We had brought this before you already to get the alternate procurement because the grant requires that the document, this implementation manual, be done by an accredited university. They have to have special degrees and things like that to be able to do that. So we limited it to the northeastern Ohio, and then we realized that probably 30,000 wasn't going to be enough. We had one item in the grant, a mock audit, that we were able to get for free instead of having to pay for it. So we were able to reallocate those funds to here. And then one of the procurement items that we had came in a little bit less than we had estimated. So we decided to put the funds into this to help create a better manual.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, I move to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Thank you.
The next item, item BC 2018-503, is being held at the request of the department.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda then. Items 504 to 507. Are there any questions?
I had one.
Miller.
My question was on the travel item where we're sending 12 staff to this public defender's office conference, and the question I had was why we couldn't send a couple of staff and have them report back to everybody else and save a considerable bit of money.
Mark Stanton, Public Defender. I'll be happy to answer that, Councilman Miller. This is not discretionary attendance. This is mandatory attendance for all of our attorneys in our office. If they're going to handle felony cases and death penalty cases, they have to have certification every 2 years pursuant to Rule 20 of the Ohio Rules of Superintendents of Courts. We sent 30 individuals to Columbus last year, and I would also try to bring you up to date on this. We were essentially being discertified by the Supreme Court because nobody was attending these seminars for a number of years. And by the kind and gracious legislation introduced by the county council, we're back getting to full speed. But an inordinate number of death penalty cases are assigned to the public defender's office because we do receive the most difficult cases with the most heinous allegations. We have 4 people out of 41 or 2 felony attorneys who are certified to be first chair on death penalty cases. I'm one of them. Mr. Thompson, who no longer handles trial work, and then 2 other senior attorneys, and both of them are on the cusp of retirement. Again, we're in danger of having that happen. I will only tell you this. I've attended these seminars for 30 years. I teach every year at the Ohio Death Penalty Seminar, which shows you the dearth of available talent if they're asking me to be there. But this is actually less expensive than it was for sending the people to Columbus because of the scholarships that we received to go there. So it's mandatory. We have to have people elevated to the point of being able to handle these cases. And in fact, my supervisor of the senior trial counsel, Terry Webb, is not certified. She's been there 29 years. So we're trying to play catch up as quickly as we possibly can, and we have to avoid the appearance of being a substandard office to the Supreme Court. And secondly, to the Ohio Public Defender, who reimburses at the rate that I know County Council is well aware. So it's not discretionary, it's mandatory, and we're way behind where we should be.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing none, I move to approve the items on the consent agenda, 504 to 507. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda items are approved. Do we have any other business?
No other business at this time.
Okay. Any public comment?
No public comment.
I move to adjourn. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Dever. All those in favor, please say aye. We are adjourned.